Hi, welcome to another episode of Susie Reads. We are continuing our adventure of witches, ghosts, and goblins. If you remember right, last time, Polly and the imp flew from the land of the goblins to the Ghost Valley, where the haunted mansion is, to collect the crown for the king of the goblins that had been stolen. But they didn't see anyone. They heard voices, but they haven't seen anyone. Shall we read and find out what happens in Ghost Valley? Let's get started. As the imp said, brownies hate dust and dirt. He and Polly have worked long and hard to clean the sitting room of the haunted mansion, where they were told to wait. Windows that were covered with cobwebs now shine and sparkle. The imp has made a fire in the great stone fireplace with the broken down furniture that he could not mend. Polly has dusted and scrubbed everything in sight and has even picked a bouquet of flowers to brighten the place up. The traveling bag filled with gifts for the ghosts is in the hallway, waiting to be opened. The broomstick stands in the corner nearest the door, ever ready to fly them away. They have a picnic lunch that Miranda packed for them, and Polly has set a table before the fireplace. She and the imp have prepared a surprise party for the ghosts. It remains to be seen who will be more surprised, the ghosts or Polly and the imp. Inside the haunted mansion. Well, remarked the imp, gazing at the room, this place now looks as it should. The fire in the fireplace blazed brightly. Miranda's candles helped to chase away the shadows. Outside, it was almost dark. I wonder how soon the ghosts will be here, said Polly, a bit nervously. I hope they will like our surprise. She turned to the imp and asked, Did you bring in extra water for the tea? The imp pointed at a pail of water beside the fireplace. There is plenty there for washing dishes and for tea, and for more tea if we need it. The tea kettle they had found whistled merrily on the hearth. I never thought I'd be entertaining ghosts, Polly stated. The words were barely out of her mouth when they heard footsteps on the stairs. Then, suddenly, 3 figures appeared in the archway. They were dressed in long white robes and were heavily hooded. Good evening, Polly and the imp. Oh, good evening, Polly and the imp greeted them together. What have you done with our cobwebs? The tall, thin ghost asked. Where is all the lovely dust? Inquired the short, fat ghost. It's much too warm in here, the middle-sized ghost remarked. It used to be so nicely cold and dank. Oh dear, Polly told them. It's our fault, I'm afraid. The imp and I cleaned the room and decided to have a tea party so we could all get better acquainted. Won't you come in anyway? The imp asked. You don't have to sit near the fire. Filing in silently, the ghosts chose the most shadowy corner and seated themselves on the sofa. Won't you have some tea and a sandwich? Polly suggested. The ghosts looked at each other and joined in a hollow, mirthless laugh. We couldn't eat a bite, the tall one said. And haven't for years and years, added the middle-sized one. But you go ahead. The short, fat ghost sighed. I still remember how enjoyable food was in the other life. As they ate, Polly and the imp told them about their search for Miranda's cat, their trip to the land of the goblins, and their flight to Ghost Valley. But why were you sent here? The tall ghost asked. The imp and Polly exchanged glances. Well, first of all, the imp answered, to ask if any of you have seen Miranda's cat or knew anything about her. Miranda sent you some gifts, Polly added. She opened the traveling bag. "Candles for everyone," she said, "and here are some joke books Miranda thought you might enjoy." The ghosts took them with so much as a thank you, but they started reading the books at once. "Hey, listen to this one," said the tall ghost. "Why are ghosts like newspapers?" "I don't know. Why are ghosts like newspapers?" the short ghost asked. "Because they appear in sheets," the tall ghost answered, and the three of them laughed together. "Imagine," said the middle-sized ghost, "jokes about us." She cleared her throat. "What do ghosts eat for breakfast?" she asked them, reading from her own book. The other two didn't know. "Ghost toasties," she told them. Their hollow laughs rang through the room. The short, fat ghost chuckled. "I bet you don't know what ghosts ride at the amusement park," he said, looking up from his book. "Tell us," they pleaded. "The roller coaster!" Miranda's joke books were indeed a success. "I believe I will try some tea," the tall ghost told Polly, "for old time's sake." She handed him a cup, and the ghost thanked her. The middle-sized ghost smiled a ghostly smile. "Once you get used to the warmth and the cleanliness, it's really rather pleasant here." She sniffed at the flowers. The short, fat ghost addressed the imp. "Would you please pass the sandwiches?" he asked. "It might be fun to get in the habit of eating again." "Are you three ghosts the only ones who stay here?" asked Polly. She did hope they didn't think she was prying. "Oh my, no," the middle ghost answered. "We're just the guards for the night. All the others are out haunting. They'll be back by dawn." "I wonder," the imp inquired, "would you mind taking us on a tour of the mansion? I've heard so much about it." "Why not?" the tall, thin ghost intoned. "We can look for Miranda's cat along the way, but I haven't seen a cat around here in years." "Bats and mice, yes," the middle ghost said, "but never a cat." "Spiders and toads," added the short, fat ghost, "and once in a while a howling dog, but he ran away." Polly lighted candles for everyone, and they started the tour of the house. Up the great staircase they filed, with dusty portraits staring at them from the hall. "Here's the ballroom," the tall, thin ghost announced. The short, fat ghost sat at a grand piano and played a tune, while the tall ghost and the middle-sized ghost waltzed around the huge room. Polly and the imp danced a bit too, but there was something sad about the music. Polly thought of all the wonderful parties that must have taken place in this room, which had once been so lovely. The imp sighed as he looked at the crystal chandeliers and candle holders covered with dust and grime. They were glad to leave. Gliding on down the hall, the ghosts pointed out the master bedroom, the many guest rooms and servants' quarters tucked away under the eaves. At last they came to a once beautiful library. Many of the shelves had no books, but in their place was a variety of objects wonderful to behold. "This is our treasure room," proudly stated the middle-sized ghost. In the midst of all the splendor was the crown of gold set with clusters of precious jewels. Polly caught her breath. It had to be the crown that had been taken from the Goblin King so long ago. It gleamed and sparkled through the cobwebs and dust. The short, fat ghost set his candle in a silver holder. "These things come from all over the world, from castles and palaces and stately old mansions," he told them. "When we haunt a place, the people go away and sometimes leave their treasures behind them. Beautiful, just beautiful," Polly remarked. "And where did the golden crown come from?" "It's been here so long, nobody knows," the middle-sized ghost answered. A gust of cold wind blew through a broken window. The imp shivered. "Let's go back and have some more hot tea," he suggested. They had been in the snug sitting room about 15 minutes when Polly suddenly said, "I smell smoke." "Probably from the fireplace," replied the imp. "I don't think so," Polly replied. Running to the traveling bag, she pulled forth the crystal ball. 3 times she patted it and held it high in the air, as she had seen Miranda do. "Crystal ball, please let us see. Oh, where the fire can be. Work for us, or I'll smash you to smithereens," the imp muttered. There was a bit of a crackle and a slight pop, and in a flash, the crystal ball clearly showed a picture of the treasure room. The curtains were ablaze, and bright flames were eating at the window frames. "My candle!" cried the short, fat ghost. "I left my candle in the treasure room. It's all my fault." The 3 ghosts became quite excited and ran in circles, moaning and groaning and wringing their hands. "Imp!" Polly exclaimed. "Fetch me another pail of water." Grabbing the filled water pail by the fireplace, Polly ran up the stairs to the treasure room. The blaze was at its worst by the window, where the curtains had blown against the candle and had caught fire. With careful aim, Polly dashed the water onto the flame. In another moment, the imp was there with a second bucket of water. Polly poured the water on the remaining flames, and the last of them died out. From the doorway, the ghosts applauded. "You saved our treasure room," the tall ghost exclaimed. "You saved our house," the middle-sized ghost added. "You saved us," the short ghost cried. "Without your calmness and bravery, we'd still be running in circles." "I helped too," the imp reminded them. With a low bow, the tall ghost saluted them. "You must be rewarded," he said. "Please choose one of our treasures as a small token of our appreciation." Polly and the imp pretended that it was taking them a long time to make up their minds. "There are so many lovely things," Polly sighed. "It has to be small enough to carry on a broomstick," the imp reminded her. "Perhaps something you can wear," the small ghost commented. "An emerald ring," suggested the middle-sized ghost. "A diamond necklace," remarked the tall ghost. "Or an old dusty crown," the imp said. Polly clapped her hands. "Oh, I do hope you don't think I'm too greedy, but I would love the crown. I've never worn one." "It's yours," announced the tall, thin ghost. "And here is a diamond tie pin for you," the middle-sized ghost said to the imp. They thanked the ghosts, and then Polly whispered to the imp. In a trice he was gone, and in a trice he was back. Behind him he held something. "A gift for you to replace the crown," said Polly, "and to remind you of what really saved us all." The imp produced the crystal ball. The ghosts were speechless with gratitude. "It doesn't always work," Polly confessed to them, "but I have a feeling that when you really, truly need it, it doesn't fail you." An hour later, just as the moon was setting, Polly and the imp waved goodbye to the 3 ghosts and sailed away astride the broomstick. On Polly's head, the golden crown glistened. The imp's diamond stick pin glittered as brightly as the morning star. Their mission had been a success. And that is the end of chapter 11. Next week, Polly and the imp will fly back to Goblin Mountain. But it looks like there are witches on their trail. What's going to happen? Are they good witches like Miranda? Are they bad witches? I don't know. See you next time on Susie Reads.